Hey everyone, Nate Z here with a very belated Supergirl vlog for the winter premiere because it's Sunday night, the day before the next episode. The reason why this one's late is partially because I was still visiting my parents for the holidays when the new episode aired, and it was kind of hard to find a way I could get someplace quiet and secluded without family or whatnot being about getting on. Because my initial thought was to wait till everyone goes to sleep, but the distances between rooms in that house is a lot shorter than I'm used to, and since I tend to get loud when I'm excited, I was worried about waking people up. Another part of it is I am just gonna admit that my social anxieties have been kicking my ass the last few days. I was about ready to skip this one, but I've decided I am going to stick through. I'm going to plow through. I mean, that's why I'm doing these in the first place, right? But anyway, the winter premiere, name to be added in post because I haven't looked it up yet. But this episode was very mixed for me, and I don't know if it's possible for me to be objective here. Again, going off my love of the character, it's going to be very hard for me to make me completely dislike an episode, and I don't dislike this episode. Overall, I liked it. But there's also the fact that I did see a commercial for it before it aired, because my family actually has actual television. They don't stream stuff like I do these days. And I saw a commercial, and the commercial made it look like it was going to be one big. Speaking of parents, I'm gonna have to edit two videos together because my mom called in the middle of recording. Well, speaking of trying to keep your voice down, I gotta try to stay quiet because while I was talking to my mom, I heard my roommate go to bed. So yeah, this one, I have two shows, and the last two episodes for each have just been nuts. But anyway, so I was looking for an episode that was basically going to be one big fight scene, and and we're officially in spoiler territory here. Um, the commercial also showed a clip of Supergirl reacting to the news of Hank going, "You're from Mars." So I expected not only Supergirl to be fighting with Nom, I expected to see some full-on Martian Manhunter action, and we didn't get that. So already I'm kind of disappointed, but I guess that's my own fault for getting my hopes up. And then this episode was just really frustrating because Hank Henshaw gets kidnapped, and then Supergirl just goes to work the next day. On one hand, it's if she had done what I would have expected her to do, and call in sick and just spend the whole time searching, that would have been a really boring episode. I admit that. And her coming to work led to some really great scenes, really great interactions, and I'm going to come back to that in a bit. So again, having to deal with the frustration of she should be more active. Kryptonians are causing trouble. Her boss is missing. Do something. But at the same time, again, that would probably just be boring. And then this episode was just really formulaic. And I don't have anything problem with things being formulaic. I have accepted with as much programming and movies and everything out there that things are going to get repetitive. There is no way around it. And, if you listen to the English majors and whatnot, there's the whole thing where there's only three stories. So again, formula doesn't bother me. I just want you to be more interesting. But this, going back to the idea that, it's caught between the producer who's really good at superhero stuff and CBS who is really good at drama. Seemed like more like a CBS episode where it was like beat for beat. This we've seen this story 1,000 times. But it was well acted. You know, again, I will never, as long as this cast is good, I'm never going to hate an episode. It's going to be impossible for me to hate an episode. But, you know, just as soon as she opened that trailer, I knew it was going to explode. It's still Christmassy enough, right? There is also what I felt was a really big inconsistency. Or, I don't know, it's not a plot hole. Contradiction, that's the word. The episode before this, the winter finale, you know, Supergirl learns that her mother knew, and, you know, Astra says, your mother doomed us to extinction. And, you know, again, that led to an amazing scene where Kara just loses it and tries to kill her mother's hologram. Again, formulaic, but very, very well done. This scene, we find out what happened, you know, we get more of what happened, and suddenly Astra's story is that her mother was a wonderful person. Kara's mother was a wonderful person. It's just, I'm like, wait, what just happened? Kara, are you not going to address that your aunt just sort of lied to you? I mean, that said, again, it led to, I've mentioned this in other videos about another show I do stuff on, is I really like redemption stories. And we have started Astra's redemption. And part of the reason I like redemption stories is I feel, you know, again, as a writer, that it's really hard to do because, again, this episode just finishes this really well. It's really easy to understand why a good person would go bad when they would just get fed up and not care. And in the case of, say, a Supergirl, say screw it and use their powers however they want. Again, which led to one of my favorite scenes, which led to one of my favorite moments. Again, okay. But it's harder. Maybe it's because I'm not a bad person and I don't want to, at least I hope I'm not a bad person and don't want to change. But as I have a harder time understanding why someone who doesn't give any craps, who is going to do what they're going to do, say Astra, who truly believes in her mission, it's harder to come up with a believable reason why they would suddenly want to change. You know, the whole I'd rather laugh with the sinners than cry with the saints. You know, why would a sinner suddenly want to start crying? I didn't buy it at first, which is, I guess, the one advantage of me taking so long to do this particular vlog, is I've had time to analyze this episode in my head. I really believe Astra is on her road to redemption. More than that, excuse me, I believe why she would do it. Because she was already hesitating to kill her niece. I mean, when we first saw her, she's like, you know, blood or not, I'm going to end her. But we've since learned it's actually not that easy for her. And she's also learned her way of doing things hasn't worked. It has really gone horribly for her. On top of that, seeing that humans, you know, despite looking exactly the same, I've long since accepted this trope. I find it more amusing than anything. Humans are different. Humans are willing to, or at least some of them are willing to give it a chance. You know, Alex said it. If I'm doing this, if no other reason, we are showing them that we are different, that we are better. And whether Astra realizes it or not, whether the writers intended it or not, I think that got into her head. Maybe she was weak from getting kryptonite injected directly into her. Again, holy crap. Again, for as much as I said this episode frustrated and or bored me, the good still outweighs the bad, in my opinion. Just that's the Bane effect, her scream, the fact that Lane was willing to do this, and Lane, he's just an a-hole, but again, it's very believable. You get his backstory. He saw the day the Earth stood still, and it scared him. And now he sees aliens are here, and they are trying to wreck our stuff. He's scared. Sam Lane has always been a jerk, always will be a jerk, but this made him. We understand why he's a jerk. I mean, all the incarnations I've seen before, I've never once gone, okay, I get you now. I don't agree with him by any means. So again, props to the show. It is doing a lot right. And going with the My Supergirl thing from last time, the My Supergirl hashtag, when Kara brings Alex food from Chicago. Again, that is Supergirl. That is what I want. The rest of the episode could be utter crap. I would still at least like it for that bit. Ugh. And I'm on a good roll. I'm trying to get this to be comfortable talking. I realize I'm going long, especially once these two are going to be edited together. Part of me does apologize for that, but there's a lot of stuff I want to say about this one. I'm just not going to worry about time. So you saw the timestamp before you clipped. So one of the biggest criticisms I've heard about this show is why Supergirl works for Catco still. And today we found out why. And this, again, is one of the things that started to make me like Superman. Is living among humans makes them human, helps them remember their humanity. I've heard the arguments again and again, actually most of the time from my dad, that Superman should be Superman 24/7. He should be just constantly going. But you have to understand, but this is one of the things, again, this is where you remember this are characters. They have wants and needs. And despite all their superpowers, they need a break. They want to sit down and watch TV every once in a while. To expect someone, super amazing powers or not, to just go constantly, I think is just, for want of a better term, unrealistic. And again, and it's especially important in Kara's case, because she remembers what it's like to be normal beforehand, unlike, Clark, who, depending which version, had babies had superpowers since he first got out of the ship, or started to develop them really, really young. That's all he knows, basically. That became a big part of his life pretty early on. Supergirl, in just about every version, lived at least 10 years of her life as a completely normal girl. So, again, it's one of the things I'm actually liking about this version, is she wants to continue being normal. She likes her powers at first, but she realizes somewhere along the line, she's like, no, I just want to be normal. I just want to be normal. Oh, this is too weird. So I like that. And again, now that she's become addicted, again, established in previous episodes, she's just the rush of being a superhero. She needs to remember to be normal still, so she doesn't go off to kill Max Lord like she almost did. And again, this led to my favorite moments where Wynn, knowing that, can squish her head, just gets in front of her and stops her. So again, I love that moment. I love Wynn. I love the interactions between these two. I mean, she may have the hots for Jimmy Olsen, but there's no doubt in my mind that Wynn and Kara are like best of friends. They have, I'm rooting for them romance-wise, but they have perfect chemistry in that regard. So yeah, Kara's big speech to Martian Manhunter is like, I need this to remember that I can still be quote-unquote human. That made it for me. Speaking of Martian Manhunter, and the whole plot line of Cat Grant is catching on to Kara being Supergirl. Saw it coming, realized it. I probably should have caught it sooner. I realized it about halfway through the episode, but again, that is something that happens in the comic books all the time. Martian Manhunter are shapeshifter who can fly and has super strength. Of course, they're going to take advantage of that to help. And there's the whole, um, back in the 90s, Supergirl was not a Kryptonian. She was a shapeshifting alien with superpowers. So she pretended to be Clark Kent once. So, so again, that just, makes the nerd in me smile. But speaking of Superman, again, the I am conversation got me right here, just like it did last time. But it leads to another problem, and I did bring this up last time. The I am conversation went, Kara says, if you need help, I promise I will ask for it. Which means Clark is at least semi-aware of what's going on. If it was just Astra, I wouldn't mind them leaving it out. If it was just Astra and Nom, I wouldn't mind them leaving him out. Because between Kara and Martian Manhunter, they're fine. I can believe Superman would trust his friends and stay out of it. There are at least 5 Kryptonians. And not to mention who knows how many other aliens working for them with crazy powers. I mean, Supergirl got her butt kicked in the pilot by one of them. Superman, as we know, is any true proper incarnation. Wouldn't would say, Kara, I'm sorry, I know you want to handle this on your own, but this is too dangerous. I can't stand by and let this happen. And since apparently there's Martian Manhunter. We've only gotten mention of Superman and Supergirl. But I imagine there's got to be other metahumans at this point, or maybe I'm just too used to Flash. Speaking of, since Supergirl's renewed for the full season, rumors of a crossover with Flash. You might not get a vlog about that because my head might explode. So yeah, I'm frustrated that Superman's not taking a more active role. I mean, I understand what they're going for, but they oversold it. They can't have that many Kryptonians and dangerous aliens and keep him out of it completely. Maybe they're leading up to the season finale. I don't know. And I I do have a few more talking points. I actually wrote them down this time. But I'm just sort of spent. I'll I'll come back to some of these, I think, especially what I want to talk about with Max Lord. Maybe that'll be a video on its own. But I think I'm going to call it quits here. So again, it's freshest in my memory, but I think this might have been the weakest episode so far. But again, this show has to work really hard for me to not like it. I would still rate this episode as likable. Anyway, thanks for watching if you watched this, and again, going back to what I said, my social anxiety has been kicking my butt lately. I almost didn't record this, but I feel a lot better now that I did. So, thanks for watching, and see you really soon, I guess.